Hi, friends. I'm Lori.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 216, The Miller's Daughter. This episode aired on March 10th, 2013. It was written by Jane Espenson and was directed by Ralph Hemaker. Now, before we get into our recapping and chatting and chaos, and this episode is going to be chaotic based off of Katie's texts, let's get into a synopsis for the episode, which I feel the need to preface with, this is how well I know this episode. I wrote it a few days ago, and I only just watched the episode for our purposes this morning, and the synopsis is still long. So, here you go. In the Enchanted Forest. After having been embarrassed by Princess Ava while delivering flour to King Xavier's castle, Cora hatches a plan to prove herself more than her station. She crashes the ball meant to find a wealthy bride for the king's son, Prince Henry, and after having been caught, professes that she can spin straw into gold. The king locks her in a tower filled with straw, ordering her to do as she says she can. But when all hope seems lost, Rumpelstiltskin materializes, offering to help Cora in exchange for her firstborn daughter. She alters the bargain and forces him to teach her how, rather than doing it for her, and the two find that they have a kinship in their penchant for revenge. Once Cora proves she could create more gold than the king could ever spend, she is engaged to the prince, but her heart still pulls her toward Rumple. They alter the bargain once more, and now Cora owes him not only her firstborn daughter, but their daughter together. As she goes to kill King Xavier for all he's done to her, he teaches her a valuable lesson, that love is weakness, and Cora removes her own heart so that she'll never be tempted again. She no longer owes Rumple anything, and together with the prince, Cora brings her daughter Regina into the world, declaring one day she will be queen. And in Storybrooke. Now that Cora and Regina have the dagger, and Emma is rushing to get Mr. Gold back to Storybrooke to heal him, the clock is ticking. Since he's dying without having been stabbed by the dagger, his power is dissipating into the ether, and Cora sees this as a missed opportunity. Rather than use him to end their enemies, Cora has decided that she needs to kill Gold and become the Dark One herself. In order to save him, Gold guides Snow to the candle she was given years ago. As it still contains its magic, she can enact the spell over Cora's heart to trade Cora's life for Gold's. She finds Cora's heart in Regina's vault and convinces Regina that her mother can't love her without her heart, and relinquishes it. Just as Cora is about to stab Gold, Regina returns the cursed heart to her mother, temporarily allowing her to feel everything before the magic takes its hold. Gold is healed, and Cora dies in her daughter's arms, having finally learned that love would have been enough. Can you tell I like this episode?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. Would never have guessed.
That was a very detailed description of this episode.
The fact that you were able to write that without having to watch the episode again is highly impressive.
Yeah, that is completely without, having watched it recently.
I have lots of thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
As everybody knows, I do still send you some text. We don't completely spoil anything for each other. Yeah. But if an episode is shocking enough, we definitely tend to send each other a what the fuck.
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me from you quite a few times from Bob's Burgers now, so I'm proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
I did start off with oh my God, please, Rose McGowan, please don't let me down. And she truly did not. She is did she watch?
She had to have.
Barbara act? Because, oh my God, they were exactly the same.
She had to have. Because, she got her vocal inflection, she got her mannerism, she got the way she holds herself. Truthfully,
the way she moves her mouth.
The way she moves her mouth. She's so good with this. And, so Rose McGowan is the one who plays young Cora. And, I think I've said this on past episodes. When I watched this episode after it had aired, I was watching it, on my computer or something. At one point, I couldn't tell that it had switched from Storybrooke to the Enchanted Forest because I heard her acting. I thought it was still Barbara.
Oh, wow.
It was so, it's, really, her vocal inflections are just that good. Normally this is where I would go into our IMDb about our guest stars, but Katie, do you want to tell our listeners where they may have seen Rose McGowan before?
Rose McGowan is a charmed sister. She came in after they killed off Prue, which if you don't know that that's a spoiler by now, I don't know what to tell you. That show came on in the 90s.
Yeah, we are beyond the statute of limitations on spoilers for that.
Yes, so, but within Charmed, which is another one of my favorite shows, I grew up watching Charmed. Thanks, Mom. She's, and this is where I could really pick up actually how good of an actress she is, because I've only really seen her in Charmed. I haven't really watched anything else that she's been in. So all I have in my mind is her as Paige. Because she ends up being half white later, half witch, which if we ever get further into this stuff, you'll learn all about from me, because I have a problem.
No, you don't say.
Look, okay. We're literally recording a podcast, episode 70 something, about your favorite show. I think I get a pass.
Yeah, I think so.
But I was kind of like, okay, is she just going to be pretty much Paige Matthews on screen as Cora? No, she's Cora. And I was highly impressed with her acting. I think she's great. She's not acting anymore. A lot of things happened in life, but like she was great.
She's focusing more on activism these days.
Yeah, she's been focusing a lot on activism. I just went when this king, because there's so many fucking kings. I'm so aggravated. I'm like, how many are there going to be?
Well, it's a large. Consider this a feudal system. Like, imagine like
feudal
Europe.
System. Okay.
Imagine this like Europe in like in the medieval times era. Like there were kings all over the place.
Well, for yet another king, I wrote, well, he's a dick, because I don't think we've had one king that I've liked thus far in this show.
I don't think it's going to get any better.
It probably won't.
The only king that's like not a dick, at least in the fairy tale land aspect, I would say is Thomas's father.
Okay.
Because like he's not in the show enough to be a dick. He's a dick in Storybrooke.
That's fair.
But like he's not really on screen long enough to be an asshole.
I need to know if there is a gif of Cora knocking over the speaker. I just wrote, Cora is an angry cat, and it was perfect. I love how she did it.
There has to be.
Was that what the director said? Just act like you're a cat.
I mean, she does give off like black cat energy, doesn't she? It's like
she truly does.
I don't like what that enchanted box was saying. I'm not wicked. It's not an enchanted box. It's a phone tap. Like knocks the speaker off the table.
It was wonderful, and I just love how Regina's like, "Mother, why? Why are you doing this?" Which is exactly what we say to our own cats when they do shit like this. Why? Why are you doing this?
Yep.
Okay, this was obviously Cora's plan all along. Like, yeah, it's obvious.
I refuse to believe that just using the Dark One dagger was her endgame. Becoming the Dark One makes the most sense because, truthfully, the Dark One has seemingly unending power. I mean, all power has its limitations. But like Regina is right to be concerned though that like if Cora's plan is to become the Dark One, there's no way Henry can forgive that. There's memory magic, so you can kind of make him forget all of that, but that's not the same thing as truly having him in her life. So she's every right to be concerned about this.
The line though, I'm a goose, aren't I? I was like, why are we talking about geese?
Fairy tale imagery.
I was like, why are we doing this? The purchasing thing was really weird. The whoring, the purchasing, like I was like, what are we doing here?
Good luck whoring your son. Cora has no filter whatsoever.
None. She's so angry from the get-go.
Here's the thing. There is more Cora backstory to be seen. To be fair, Cora dies at the end of this episode. This is not the last we see of Cora as Rose McGowan or Barbara Hershey.
Okay, then. Well, I know that they like to jump around a lot.
They jump around in the timeline, so we'll see Rose again next season, and then we'll see Barbara again in season 5. And
I'm okay with that.
Cora has every right to be angry, and there is more to like the vengeance against Ava than just this moment.
Oh my god!
Like this is like that's part of her backstory that we'll see in season 3. There is more to it than just like this one slight in front of the king, but also Cora has a tendency to overreact. So there's that.
Just a little,
just a tiny bit.
Okay, so then we have everybody together. Like everybody finally gets back together, and you've got David and Snow, and everybody's together. I just was like, oh, it's all one big happy family. Unbeknownst to me that this whole episode. Oh my god! So Ava is obviously Snow's mother.
Yes.
Henry is Regina's father. So Snow, wait, doesn't that make? I'm so confused. Explain the wreath, because you told me that this family tree is a wreath, and I am so lost.
So Ava was a visiting princess. She's not one of the relatives.
Okay, thank you. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, she's Princess Ava of the Northern Kingdom. At this point...
Okay, so she's just visiting.
Yeah. I don't remember timeline-wise. I think this is after she's married to Leopold.
Okay.
That would make the most sense. It takes them a while to have snow. Basically.
Okay. I'm
is the
sitting here
understanding we
like,
have.
but this is a young Cora. Regina's about to be a baby, but she's
It takes a
already
while.
married.
By the time
What is with age in this show?
here's the way they use the actors. The next flashback we see where Cora is Barbara Hershey, Regina's only about 10 years old. They don't use Rose for a whole lot of her storyline. It's the way power works. It ages you very quickly.
Dude,
I don't know.
The aging is so weird.
So the family tree wreath. This is because also here's the thing: is people like to argue with me all the time about Rumpel being Regina's father, and I'm like, no,
no.
That's not subtext. It's not implied. It's Cora owed him their child together. If Regina was his, he would have known it. There would have been something in that contract that would have warned him that child was biologically his. And Cora specifically says, any child I have will not be yours. Like, there's no subtext there. It's just that. So our little family tree wreath situation. So start with Henry the child. So his parents are Emma and Neil.
Yes.
Neil is the son of Rumpelstiltskin and Mila.
Okay.
Mila left for Hook. That's that branch.
Okay.
And Mila died.
Because that's not weird at all.
Not at all. Well, he wasn't Hook at the time, but still. So then Emma is the daughter of Snow and Charming. Snow's stepmother is Regina, who is the adopted mother of Henry. There's one closed circle right there. And then you have, Cora is Regina's mother. Cora and Henry are her parents. Cora had an affair with Rumpel very briefly, and then there's other situationships that happen later on in the show. It's basically a circle.
I'm sitting here like I should totally jump in Canva one day and try to make this family tree, but I'm terrified to try. Because you're right, it's just going to be one big circle.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
My God. The invisible chalk. That was a choice.
Apparently, Jen got so method with it, she kept putting it in her pocket between takes. Like, I would do that too. Honestly, when you spend so long pretending to be holding something, you just stick it back in your pocket.
I just love that this is the thing they come up with, invisible chalk.
I mean, it's easy enough to CGI. There's no chalk there, but his line of you missed a spot.
Imagination.
Imagination. That's how magic is emotion. Magic is not an intellectual endeavor, but yes, use your imagination. You drew a line. Now you're going to imagine who you're going to protect. Which, to be fair, this might be the most, I would say, the healthiest way he's taught anyone how to use their magic. From what we've seen.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I just wrote, oh, this makes me uncomfortable. Like, they start out, no, before they even kissed. And he's, like, sitting behind her. And I'm like, look, I like Robert Carlyle. I think he's a very sweet man. And it doesn't gross me out when he kisses people when he's just Robert Carlyle, like when he's gold.
When he's the dark one, though, it's weird.
As the dark one, he's scaly, and he had the voice, and
I don't know if this is going to make it any better.
Oh no!
So the scene where she's describing what is the bloodlust in her mind for the magic, and he's doing whatever he's doing behind her. That is intentionally emblematic of the pottery scene from Ghost. That was intentional.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that makes it any better. Or possibly worse.
I'm uncomfortable. I did like the one line though. I can't cast a spell. I can spell a spell.
I can spell. No shit, Emma Swan.
Go Emma Swan. And then I just have this nice big all capital letters. Ew. No. And like I say, it's not Robert Carlyle. It's him as the dark one. It's Rumpelstiltskin with the scales, and it's kudos to Rose.
That's true. Kudos to her. Did you catch the line that I've been saying forever?
Oh, when you see the future, irony is everywhere.
Yep.
When she was like, "Yes, we're brides. They have to be Snow White," and I'm just like, the look on his face, I was like, ah!
That was 100% like Jen Espenson. That's her I've done something funny.
That was for me. That moment was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Wolf of Wall Street where he's pointing. That was
Yeah.
me in that moment of like, ha! I heard it. I did a nice loud, what the fuck? With the, you owe me my own child. And I was like, please do not procreate. Please don't. We already have Neil. I don't need, no.
I mean, yeah.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Now do you see why I was like, we're not chit-chatting. I have things to say.
This is true. Normally before, like, we record, like, we'll, like, talk for, like, a little bit, because if we haven't talked during the day or whatever, other than, like, updating on podcast progress,
Yeah.
we'll, like, chat, like, we had 10, 15 minutes, but no, we logged in, Katie's like, let's do this. I'm like, okay.
And the amount of times I put "what the fuck" or in this, I mean, when I was trying to figure out the family wreath, I wrote "hold the fuck up." I was so confused. I was like, "Please don't make a baby." I did like have that moment of like Snow's actually using the candle. Holy shit, she's gonna do this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then like Snow being down there with in the mausoleum or wherever in the hidey hole, and Regina walking up and like, "You have no right to be here." Like, Regina, you've been trying to kill Snow for how long? What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
but to be fair, Snow does not have any right to trespass on her property or have any right to literally her mother's part.
Okay, but that kind of needed to happen.
I mean, yes. Plot-wise, yes, it did need to happen. I'm not disagreeing with this course of action, but, like, her thing of you have no right to be here and no right to that is a natural response.
I don't know. They're all fighting against each other. I'm like, of course people are going to trespass. They're literally trying to go and kill Rumple. So I'm just kind of like, you kind of brought this on yourself.
A little bit.
Like, your mommy issues came to fruition, and this is the result. Just a tiny bit. And I was like, okay, Rumple is healed. She actually healed Rumple. And then, of course, my last thing I wrote was, y'all done pissed off Regina.
Yeah.
Yeah, she big mad.
Lana played that so well, because she flips that switch from devastation to anger so quickly, but you can hear the pain in her voice when she like says like, no, you like to Gold, like, no, you stole her life, you cast some spell, and she's like begging Cora to wake up, and like, I know Barbara, when they call cut, Barbara pops up and says like, okay, I'm fine, and they go back and they do another take of it, but like, it is so heartbreaking to watch that moment. And this is one thing I say, because remember with the Sable Boy, I said Lana asked for a Beaches moment, one moment where like we're their best friends, and then before everything goes to hell. This is one thing where I say in Beaches, I will not spoil it for you because at some point I will make you watch it. Someone dies in Beaches. Someone dies.
Okay.
The moment when Cora dies in Lana's arms, or Regina's arms, I go, yeah, Lana finally got her Beaches moment.
Nice. Okay, I really can't wait to watch Beaches now, honestly.
It's such a good movie.
Which may be closer than I realize. May disappeared. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The month is gone. Where did it go?
May is done. I'm sure people will listen to this in August.
Yeah, this is like mid-August, I think.
Yeah, ish. But yeah, this is an episode.
Uh-huh.
And this is what I mean when I say that if an episode has Mills woman trauma, which is why I say that specifically, because it's not just Regina. It involves Cora, and there is another Mills woman you have yet to meet. A lot of their trauma-focused episodes are written by Jen Espenson. I don't know how that keeps happening. I would love to find out who assigned things in that writer's room, honestly, if that was on purpose. Or
would that be the showrunner?
That would, I don't, cause every writer's room is run differently. Sometimes people will ask for certain storylines, or they'll just be assigned by the showrunners or whatever. Because I'm assuming they kind of work out the basic plot points together, and it's whoever gets to write the individual scripts. I'm assuming it's assigned by the showrunners, and my guess is maybe early on they're like, she had a very good voice for Regina's stories, and that's why they kind of kept doing that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I would love to find out one day.
Or did she just call dibs on Regina?
I would do that too, personally. Because it does seem like after season 2, it does feel like the same writers will write like the heavy backstory focused episodes on specific characters. So it's almost like at a certain point they just kind of get assigned those episodes. Yeah, that's what it feels like. But I don't know. We're not writers on the show, so we have no idea.
I mean, we'd need a time machine.
We would need a time machine.
They would totally let teenagers do that. Oh my god, totally,
absolutely. Sorry, it's funny you say Time Machine because I just saw Back to the Future on Broadway yesterday.
Oh, how was it?
It was really good. It was the special effects were really cool. At the very end, what they do is like they get in the DeLorean at the very end, and they set the time for like the date of this performance you're seeing, and they drive the car out over the audience.
Oh, wow.
And it flips upside down and rotates so it can drive back. I don't know how they did it. And this man is a consummate professional. The guy who plays Doc Brown is Roger Bart. He was the singing voice of Hercules in the Hercules movie.
Gotcha.
He's like in his early 60s. Like I know he signed on for this, but in my head is like this poor man has to be flipped upside down 8 times a week.
That would suck.
That can't be fun at his age. But it was a lot of fun. It was a really good show.
Yeah, the only thing I really want to see on Broadway right now is I saw a lot of their Little Shop of Horrors was going really well, and then didn't Darren Criss come in to do that?
Yeah, it's an off Broadway production, but yeah, Darren Criss did. He did a run with Evan Rachel Wood was his Audrey. I would have seen that honestly.
I would have seen
the tickets fast enough.
That would have been amazing.
Really would have.
But yeah, Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time, yeah. So I had a lot of fun facts from this one because this is an episode this one does have commentary. However, I couldn't listen to it because it was Blu-ray exclusive commentary and I couldn't find it anywhere.
Course.
But a lot of what was said in the commentary so whoever runs the wiki has access to it, so they relate it. A lot of it.
Awesome.
Apparently, with the way that getting the Core's heart it was part of like her stuff that was on the ship. There was apparently a scene at some point where they bring everything over. It just kind of got, I guess, it just got cut. I don't remember which episode. It didn't say what episode that was supposed to be in. It's just, it's one of those things of like, we didn't need to see that they brought over the boxes.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense that they got the boxes over, even if they got someone else to do it.
It just makes sense. But of like the Vault of Hearts, because that's the same box that she had like all of like the zombie hearts from Into the Deep in. She only has one heart because there's only one box that's glowing. The box that Snow pulls out is the only one that's glowing, which means it's the only heart that's in there. And this is a small detail that I had never seen that I think is actually really cool that they included this, is the box itself is locked kind of like with like latches with a piece of golden straw.
Oh, I like it.
That's a cool little detail that I like. Please tell me you thought of the Lion King when they
raised Regina. Oh my god.
It's the circle of life. That was entirely intentional.
And while we're recording this, I keep seeing all of the videos of Northwest.
Yes.
For the anniversary. And I'm just like, oh, this timing.
It's phenomenal. That's one thing where I will say my thoughts on that are, I think she did a great job for a 10-year-old without a lot of training. It's a case of, for her own sake, her first performance should not have been in front of 18,000 people.
I definitely agree, because there were a lot of kids who auditioned for that like have been on Broadway that auditioned for that, but it was given to North. I'm not mad at North.
No, not at all.
She did her best.
I think so too. I think her voice is good for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, truthfully. And like
the 30th anniversary of The Lion King is not the place.
No. Like, it's unfair to her to make her first performance be that big thing. Yeah. Like, just because you want to give your kid that experience, like, with people keep making the comparison with Blue Ivy being on Beyonce's tour, is the difference is she went through rigorous rehearsals, and Beyonce's like, I will not put you on stage until I see improvement in your rehearsals. Like, I want to see like you improve and learn and like, take notes and do all these things that professionals do.
And she got better over time.
And she got better over time. Like, some kids at 10 do have naturally more mature voices. That's just sometimes how physiology works.
Yeah.
And like, I don't fault the kid at all. The kid did the best job she could, and like, she didn't know when she was supposed to exit, and the people that were like the zebras were trying to like
the zebras were like hurting her through to her where she needed to be. They were literally hurting her
to her marks. But like, she did people that are like, critiquing the kid. The kid doesn't need to be critiqued.
I'm not critiquing the child.
Critique the production for allowing that.
Yeah, they should not have taken whatever they were given for her to be given that part. Because kids did audition. I've seen multiple things of like kids who have the talent and have the training.
That's the difference.
Auditioned. I would be perfectly fine if she had gone and done something maybe for her school or like even smaller projects, but something like the 30th anniversary just wasn't the place. And I just can't stand people who are digging at the kid. And I'm like, it's not her fault.
Not at all.
Don't be mad at the child. But yeah, so yeah, that did make me think of The Lion King, which is what put me on that tangent.
Yes, and that was intended to be the emblematic of The Lion King.
Watching Rose like even kind of struggle and then being like, let me bring the baby back down. I was like, what are we doing?
Let me hold the child back, make sure she's safe. Because like there are pretty rigorous like rules about like babies and infants on set. Like I mean, for kids in general, there's pretty rigorous rules. But infants, like it has to be like a certain temperature. They can only be on camera on set for a certain amount of time before they have to be like taken off or switched off. Like for another kid, like there's very specific rules for how babies can be used on set. Which you kind of want, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Like, I can't... Like, some people get really mad when they see, like, oh, you can tell this person's holding a fake baby in a scene in a show. And I'm like, yes, as they should be.
Yes. Like, if the kid doesn't have to do anything, and you don't have to, like, actually tell that it's a real kid, like, honestly, it's really
no need for it.
Just use the doll. It's perfectly fine.
Imagination comes into play again.
Exactly. Imagination. So I didn't tell you this, but this was my favorite fun fact out of everything else that I saw about this. Apparently, the purple outfits of King Xavier's servants from the ball scene have been reused throughout not only the show, because we'll see them like throughout other episodes, but it was also throughout the Disney universe, because they were also used for the Genovian footmen from the Princess Diaries 2 movie.
I love it so much.
Like, that's such a good reuse of your costumes.
All I'm saying, though, is we need Princess Diaries 3.
I think so.
Anne Hathaway and Chris Pine have aged like fine wine. Give me a third one. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm
just
for it.
Needed to get that out.
That's fair. I have more CGI that might mess with your head a little bit.
Oh, shit.
So the opening scene where we see Korra's father passed out. The only bit of that structure that was real was the base of the windmill. The top of the windmill and the cottage were both CGI.
Okay, then.
Yep.
This freaking
stuff
show.
We learn.
It's just, there's so many situations where I'm like, this is amazing CGI. They did a phenomenal job. And then there's other moments that I'm like, what is this? Mm-hmm. I'll take what I can get.
No, that's fair. So Rumpel's name disappearing on the dagger, which again was cool CGI, and that's a good point of like if he doesn't get killed with being the stabby stab, so that the power can transfer, it makes sense that the power would kind of, like they say, like boil off into the air, as we will see in later seasons. That's not what happens, but we'll see what happens when the Dark One dies without the dagger.
I have the brain of a squirrel, so we're good.
Rumple doesn't die, to be fair.
Oh man,
but yeah, he'll die eventually. But
one day.
But so originally it wasn't meant to be CGI. Originally, every time they show the dagger, it was supposed to be missing a letter. But they realized it was going to be too expensive to make a bunch of Dark One daggers missing one letter of Rumpelstiltskin every time. So they decided instead to just digitally erase it rather than create a bunch of different prop knives.
That makes sense. There is a budget.
There is a budget eventually, and a lot of the budget I feel like went towards the costumes, because I really do feel like the costumes in this episode were amazing,
phenomenal.
Because apparently, King Xavier's line to Korra about her stolen dress and pilfered mask was not originally in the script. Someone on the production screen asked where Korra got the dress, so they just added it in to explain that she stole it. That's it.
Makes sense.
That's all it needs to be. But this is one thing they changed, I think, in editing, is my guess, is how this originally was supposed to go, because the scene where Korra spins for the king was supposed to be longer, not just her doing it. Originally, it was supposed to be him talking to the crowd about how she's going to spin straw into gold, and she's trying and it's not working. And then it was going to intercut into the scene where he teaches her and how it works, and then you'd cut back and she'd be doing it. I think the way they did it works better, where they cut out that beginning sequence altogether, because it shows that Korra has a very quick mastery of her magic, which I think is just makes more sense for her character given what we've seen.
Well, she's already so angry. It makes sense.
Yeah, she wouldn't have to draw back on the memory to get the bloodlust going again.
Yeah, she's always angry already.
She's always angry. Korra is anger. Korra
is the Hulk of Once Upon a Time.
Basically, My last fun fact, I have a rant about something else. My last fun fact, apparently in the original script for the fight scene, Regina was going to have a sword. Which,
oh, shit. Sorry. You said fight scene and my brain went back to the last episode. Fight scene, we're gonna have a fight scene. That's all that came into my brain in that moment.
This is not Die Hard the musical.
No, it is not, but sorry, that's all that came in my head.
But in the fight scene,
yes,
in the pawn shop, Regina was supposed to have a sword, which would have been cool to look at. Lana doesn't really, she uses swords every once in a while. I think the one time she really gets like sword training, because the one time she really fights with a sword is in 410. Because at one point she's about to kill somebody and they taunt her and she's like, "You can use your magic, Regina," and she's like, "I don't need magic to kill you."
Ooh.
she does sword and they sword fight.
Damn it!
Whoosh. But apparently it was changed when some unnamed person, I don't know who, pointed out the error in that Jane Espenson forgot that Regina has magic. She didn't really need a sword. I think the flame, the fireball is fine at the end of the day.
It would be really weird for her to have a sword while she's next to her mom and they're both wielding magic again. It would just
especially because they used their magic to break the protection spell, which my note on that was so much for the protection spell. They blasted through that faster than a stormtrooper goes down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Truthfully, that first one together they were able to break it down. Obviously, Cora by herself. The second one
took her a minute.
It took her a second. Although throughout that fight scene, I play watch the disappearing scarf. Cora has a scarf, doesn't have a scarf, has a scarf, doesn't have a scarf, and there's no scarf for the rest of the scene. Someone wasn't paying attention to last looks, is what I like to say, which is clearly what happened after she gets thrown across the glass. And I wrote down yes, Emma, throw the old woman across a glass case.
That makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. But this is the rant that I say about this show, about this episode specifically, in that I think the promotion for it kind of spoils the episode.
Oh.
I did find the original trailer for it. I had remembered there was a picture that they put on Twitter with the main cast, that basically said one will die.
Oh my god.
And that was a big thing of the promotion of the trailer was one of their own will perish. And I wrote down in hindsight, this tells you kind of exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. It's not a red herring, especially with the way with the way they intersplice. And I'll put the link to the trailer in the show notes.
Yeah, but I'd love to see it.
It's basically stating fact because you see David's what do you do? So clearly him and Snow do something. Clearly, it's clear Snow is successful in what she's trying to do based off of that alone. But I say, out of everyone in the promo, you've got that they show Rumple, Neil, Snow, Charming, Emma, Regina, Cora, and Henry. Literally, only one death, in my opinion, makes any sense.
Yeah, only Cora makes sense.
They're not introducing Neil just to kill him. They're not killing the kid. Snow and Charming clearly did something, so they make it through the end of the episode. Regina is shown in no peril at any point in the episode, at any point in the in the promo, and that pretty much leaves Emma and Cora, because Rumple's dying. He's kind of like Hook. He's a cockroach. He's not going down.
Yeah.
So that really leaves Emma and Cora. They're not killing off their POV character with 6 episodes left in the season, so that only leaves Cora, in my opinion.
Oof. I'd be so mad.
They thought they were doing something by making this big speculation of who's gonna die and all that other stuff. And I'm like, you really just told us Cora's dying. Man. That's basically what happened.
Someone could have done a little bit better on the marketing team.
Just a little bit. You could have done something with a big epic battle. You could have focused on that.
Yeah.
There's actually a drop down in the show notes that I put in there. Because when Emma holds on to Regina really tightly, it's a image Swan Queen has used throughout time, basically. It's a small picture. You might have to zoom in on it, because I couldn't find a bigger version.
Oh, there it goes. Oh, well, no, don't zoom. Don't zoom! Oh, God.
Did it get really big?
It got really big and really fuzzy.
Oh, no.
I can see it, though. Oh, wow. They're adorable.
Yeah. They're so cute while Emma holds a knife to her neck. But, it's...
Oh, yeah. I mean...
There's that aspect. But you know what? You like the enemies to lovers, knife against the neck, I will love you in 2 books. Slow burn. So, unfortunately, there's no slow burn there. But
Unfortunately. Although that would have been a wonderful storyline.
This is my thing with Swan Queen and canon. Especially, like, I would say season 3 on. I feel like this is something I say a lot. Swan Queen works really well in fan fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Swan Queen is the trope. It is your morally gray brunette character, your blonde hair purveyor of light magic hero character. They are the trope. And truthfully, I think if either of them were a man, they would have been the couple. And honestly, and this is my thing with just critiquing media as a whole, if they were both men, their chances of being a couple are that much higher than the two of them being.
Oh, yeah, they really are.
Personally. Because media is terrible to sapphic people. But I do think as the show goes on, I don't think they would have worked truthfully in canon as a couple. I think in fan fiction, writers find a great way of like combining the two best versions of them to be together. Mm-hmm. As they're written on the show, I do think it just would have been too volatile of a relationship. I think they work better as friends and co-parents once that all kind of resolved itself in season 3.
Yeah, that's going to take a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, now I got my brain on sapphic media. It gets canceled every time.
Every single time.
So I haven't started or finished so many different sapphic shows is because I either keep forgetting to go back to it.
Yeah.
That's A League of Their Own after that one episode where like they all get raided in the gay bar. Yeah. It was honestly actually kind of triggering. And I was like, nope. Because
no, it was hard to watch.
That was really, really hard to watch because if you and I were born so many years sooner than we're lucky to have been technically, that could have been us. And I was like, I need a break. And I never went back. Mm-hmm. And then I know there's like different Netflix ones, but I don't want to fall in love with something and then know it's already been canceled.
Yeah, I want to rewatch First Kill. I think I may have watched it once or twice after
I need to watch that.
The initial watching. Because that one is it's a cute, campy vampire hunter, vampire sapphic romance. And it also has the moms that just have an unfair amount of chemistry for no particular reason. They unfortunately don't get together, but the vampire mom is Elizabeth Mitchell, and I have problems. So
just a few.
To be fair, I did write down Cora is terrifying in this episode. Hot, but terrifying.
That's a good thing.
It is a great thing. I mean, to be fair,
you can't ask for more.
That was specifically about Barbara, not even about Rose. Because actually, I did on my once account, I did the too sweet like trend where people would like have like a picture of like someone younger, and then I'd rather take my whiskey neat. It's the older version. I did that with young Cora, and then Barbara Hershey, because
I like it.
I like who I like, but
we are who we are, and we are not going to apologize.
Not at all. This is our platform. We are who we are. But this episode is, I mean, I don't think it's going to take a genius to come up with what my score will be, because it's...
Oh, no way.
Not at all. But like, I love this episode for so many, like, for so many reasons, just for what it gives us. Like I said, this is kind of like our climax. Like, you can see what I mean about this kind of being the climax of this season, because now that Cora is dead,
someone dies.
so now we're going to kind of see the immediate falling action, and then leading into what will kind of be like our end of season kind of plot to follow. But I always just, I love when I hear Cora's waltz music, because like I do sometimes, like, you can find the instrumental, people have posted them on YouTube. They used to be on like music streaming services. Now I think only season 7 is available anywhere for some reason. But that's one that like I always just like I recognize immediately. And actually, when I was at a Creation Entertainment event, they were playing the Once Upon a Time soundtrack. Like, they're playing the instrumentals like just in the hall between things. And I was in line for one of the actors' Q&A before it started, to ask questions, and started playing Cora's Waltz. And I said to the person next to me, I'm like, is it sad that I recognize the song that's playing right now? And she just went, no, it's Cora's Waltz. That's not bad. Like, I found my people.
You did find your people. I love those moments, though. I had moments like that at a book signing when I went to go get I met my favorite author. Waiting in that line was probably one of my favorite experiences ever, because all of us were into the same thing. It was finally, I could sit there and be like, oh my God, this dragon book, and everybody around me is like, oh my God, yes. It was so exciting to have like-minded people in person around
in person. You. Well, like, that's what I say about like the time that I met Jennifer Morrison at New York Comic Con. Because up until then, Once Upon a Time, for the most part, for me, had been a predominantly online thing. We're talking in like 2015-ish.
Yeah.
So it was predominantly an online thing for me at that point. I hadn't really met people out in the real world that watched the show. And I was in a group of people that were all there to meet Emma Swan, and some people were in cosplay, and like the group of us that were talking, like this is like what I say a lot of times about like ship wars and how they very much are an online thing. Is like everyone had a different favorite ship, but no one was arguing. Everyone was just like, "Oh, I love this episode. I love this bit." And it was like, "Oh, that's my favorite part." And then everyone was just so happy to talk about a show that, for the most part, I think everyone had really mostly just talked to people online about, and it was just a lot of fun to be around like that type of fandom.
So you can really look into that and see just how interesting it is when you actually have a face to look at and speak with. You're much more likely to be a hell of a lot nicer.
Yeah, like that's what I say. Like online, the ship wars, the hate fandoms. That's so much an online thing, which is unfortunate. That sometimes that's all we really have. But it is what it is. I had to laugh though. The actor who plays Henry Sr. as a younger man is significantly taller than the actor who plays him throughout the rest of the show.
I will say, you shrink as you get older. You do. You shrink a little.
I said that. I'm like, either people shrink a lot in their old age, or the casting director just didn't think having young Henry Sr. being like 6 foot something wouldn't look odd.
I can say, actually, yeah, like you really do shrink. So my husband, is 6'6".
Mm-hmm.
His father, of course, was also very, very tall. I think I think in his prime, he was almost as tall as my husband. Because, of course, both his parents were tall. When I met him in his, I want to say 70s, before he passed, he had maybe gotten down to like 6 feet.
Okay.
He lost a lot of height. Like you do lose, which is, I am not looking forward to that. And your girlfriend probably isn't either, because if I shrink anymore, where will I go?
This is true. Into the ground. I did like, though, with so much of, with the flashbacks and, Cora and Xavier and all that, Henry is, to some level, enamored by Cora at the beginning. He's clearly, like, he's interested in her. So, like, he's poking fun with her. He's offering to dance with her. So, like, there is some level of, I said enamoring, or, some level of, I guess, admiration. Like, as we see once she gets her power and all that other stuff, she gets a little terrifying. Which is understandable since he is not exactly the strongest man. But to be fair, he is the 5th in line to be king, so he doesn't really have to be strong.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
He just has to stand there and look pretty.
Pretty much. That's basically what he was designed to do. Rumple teaching Cora beyond the ghost analogy. The fact that he knows that she can use magic. This is my thing of, like, this basically furthers my idea that anyone born in a magical realm is capable of learning magic. Like, you could make the assumption that he can see the future, so he knew that she could do it. But it's so much easier to be like, yeah, anyone can learn magic if they want to. It needs the right spark, in my opinion.
If you don't have world building that has stipulations against magic users, then that is pretty much, in my mind, the theory that anybody can wield magic. You actually have to have it, in my opinion, in the world building, saying flat out only such and such can wield magic.
Exactly. And they don't, basically. There's nothing in the show that says if you're not a fairy of the dark one, how you get magic. It just is. But when Rumple says specifically, like, though, that her firstborn daughter is quite important, this is a plot inconsistency I mentioned from 202, like, where he says that, like, he held Regina in his arms when she was a baby. I mean, he never held her, as we've seen. This is the first time they're meeting again is later on, and I'm like, this is a plot inconsistency that bothers me solely for the fact of, that's from 202, We Are Both. Both of these episodes were written by the same person.
Ooh.
They were both written by Jen Espenson.
And they're not too far apart.
No. Like, it's the same season, and written by the same person.
Damn.
Yeah.
No, that's frustrating.
So, it's not great.
And it's not like a deleted scene or anything of him coming in when no one else is around or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge.
Because if they had that anywhere, that would be like, okay, no, he did, but that's something so easy to add into. Just a scene of Rumpelstiltskin in Regina's room picking her up with no one else around. Would have fixed that.
It would have. But unfortunately, not so much. I'll do this last thing. I have, like, 2, like, minor rants that I'll do after our stats. But something back to Rose really doing such a good job of matching Barbara's mannerisms at one point. Like, because she straddles such a fine line between doing an impression and embodying the character. And I was saying this about Back to the Future, because Roger Bart, who played Doc Brown, he could so easily just do a Christopher Lloyd impression and call it a day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, he straddles that fine line of, he embodies the original character as best he can, and he does some things with his voice to kind of make it like a little Christopher Lloyd-y, but at the end of the day, it's his performance, it's his character. He does whatever he wants with it, and like he straddles that line so well. I think Rose does a phenomenal job with that, but down to like her vocal inflections, the way she said yes to the proposal sounded a lot like when Barbara Cora accepted Regina's proposal from Leopold. Like it was the exact same way she said it.
Did an amazing job with this.
She's just so good. And I do love her last line of, if the choice is love or power, then even having a heart is a liability.
Man, you got to go through some trauma to reach that point.
You really do. And we'll see what that trauma is in season 3. We'll see some of what that trauma is in season 3. But she's never letting love ever get in the way of anything ever again.
That, my dears, is a trauma response.
Yes, it is. So, Katie, what did you score this episode?
Okay, so I gave plot and character 10 because at the end of the day, both of like I had no notes. I mean, lots of notes, but no notes. Like it's
no
notes,
but lots of notes.
I mean, there's plenty of chaos notes, but when it comes to like those two scores, like I mean, are you surprised?
Not at all.
Personal is 9.
Okay,
so it only got a 29.
29 is a hard score to give.
It's really hard to give. It truly is. But like, I can't. I don't like feeling uncomfortable.
No, that's fair.
It's my show.
It's a lot of uncomfiness with Rumpel and Cora.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm watching. I'm taking my notes, and then things start happening because they start to kind of like the weird thing with the wheel, like you said, the ghost thing, and I'm just like, oh no, let's not do this. And then we go away from it for a little while. Then we come back, and I'm like, oh god, they're making out. Everything else was great. I could have done without the crocodile kiss. But here we are.
Yeah, here we are. As I said, 29 is a hard score to give because that does require 2 10s and a 9, and it's hard to like just take off 1 point for something.
That the kissing Rumpelstiltskin is my one thing.
That's your 13th reason.
No.
So I think it should be surprised to know when I gave this a 30, which means I've got 2 30s in a row.
That's amazing.
And it's just, this is an episode that I say it's part of a 3-episode grouping that, like, if I just get bored or I've gotten bored in the past, I will just watch The Queen is Dead, The Miller's Daughter, and Welcome to Storybrooke all in one go. I think it's a movie, but it's of Once Upon a Time, just 3 episodes ish.
Do you just look away when they're kissing to get past
no,
that?
I just watch it. At this point, I think I've truthfully done this so many times.
That's fair.
That it's just, I just start laughing. Like, it's just, you get kind of desensitized to it.
This was just one of those scenes for me that I was like, I want to rewatch the episode eventually. I probably will binge this all over again after we finish because I'm going to be so happy we finished it, and I do enjoy it. But that and hearing Mr. Gold say "good girl," it's like, once again, if you like this character, I'm so sorry, but something died inside of me when I heard Mr. Gold say "good girl" to Emma. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not for me.
How'd you feel when he said, "You're a spicy one, aren't you"?
No.
I wrote that down with "ew" next to it.
No, thank you. No, thank you. And
Emma in this episode still, like, with her, when Neil makes his joke about the chalk and goes, I didn't know you were magical, and she goes, so like, it's like, are you being judgy about this? Because you're not allowed to have opinions about surprises, Mr. Son of Rumpelstiltskin. And he goes,
oh, I love that.
He went, I didn't mean for tomorrow to be a surprise. And my response is, that's not the surprise she was talking about, you idiot.
Nope.
Like, not that she doesn't care about Tamara existing, but that's not what she's talking about. Like, not
she's trying to grapple with the fact that she had a baby with Rumpelstiltskin's son.
Exactly. Like, there's something
never
else
knew.
Going there. But, so one of my things about this episode is Snow's whole thing with killing Cora.
Yeah.
Because, earlier in the season, we heard her say there's no coming back from murder. She said that already, and she says it again this episode. He goes, there's no coming back from death either. to be fair, there isn't. And like Snow is someone that she trusts her moral compass so wholeheartedly that when she kind of doesn't have it anymore, she just doesn't really know what to do with herself. And it's interesting. I feel like the thing with Snow giving the heart to Regina, the fact that it is kind of like a last ditch, like she got caught. So I don't know. We'll never know if that was originally her plan.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it a little less compelling the way she kind of immediately regrets everything because she was thinking on the spot. But that kind of almost makes it even more sinister of she came up with a really good manipulation on the spot of your mother can't love you without her heart. Like you think she's gonna want to be there for you and Henry. She can't feel. She's not capable of it. It makes it so much more menacing. Even minorly less compelling, but it is much more menacing that she came up with that on the spot of you can have a mother who loves you, or you could ever be the dark one. The choice is yours.
I mean, I like the morally grayness though, because like now that her moral compass is kind of skewed, I like that because I have this whole thing about me that's like no one's perfect, including characters that are
But that's the thing is Snow is grappling now. Snow is grappling now with not being perfect, and now she has no idea what to do with herself because she's kind of been this paragon of moral virtue for so long. And she's like, the next episode we'll see, she has no idea. She basically just collapses. She just kind of like implodes on herself in the next episode. She doesn't know what to do anymore with herself because she's done this. Like she says, like you can't. She said at the end, like you're right, you can't come back from murder, and they do try to stop her, and they don't do so in time. But it's like, it's just, it's. I say this a lot, like the best villains, like they take what you love and they destroy it. And what Regina loved was her mother, and Snow does kind of use that to her advantage, even though it is kind of, you know, she got caught with the heart, so she's going to have her do with this now. She does take that which Regina loves and exploits that for her own gain, which is what makes a good villain.
Yeah, honestly.
It really is. And this is my last thing. I like to yell about this a lot just because I have a lot of fun with it. Beyond the fact that I do think that with her heart, Cora and Rumple are kind of like kindred spirits with her heart and her body. Yeah. At the end of the day, they share that very same penchant for revenge. They know what it's like to seek power to overcome something. For Rumple, it was to overcome fear and being perceived as a coward and to save his son. For Cora, it was to overcome her station and be given what she feels she's deserved. They are a truly terrifying pairing, quite frankly. One that I would say brings out the worst of Rumple versus where others would bring out the best in him. But Cora taking out her heart, a dark one without a heart would be horrifying.
How do you kill it?
I mean, you can still kill her without the heart. But like, because like we'll see as the show goes on, Rumple's heart gets darker and darker and darker, but he does still have some level of moral center. Without one, that's horrifying. But this is something I say is because based off of the CGI and the way that they did Cora's heart, she's pure of heart, technically speaking.
Really?
Because the heart had no dark spots on it. We'll see, like in the next episode, we'll see what a darkened heart will look, or a heart with a dark spot will look like. What happens when you do something so unimaginable? Your heart starts to darken. Cora's heart is pure because all of her truly heinous acts were done without her heart and her body.
Oh my god!
She took out her own heart before she could do anything. So like we'll see as like how the underworld situation works and who gets to move on and who doesn't on into a better place. Like. Cora is pure of heart if we're gonna go off technicalities.
Bullshit.
We'll revisit that in season 5.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we'll revisit that in a couple of years. I'm sorry.
I love that's the last thing. I just love that's the last thing you want to drop on me. Hey, by the way.
Hi, by the way, Cora's actually pure of heart.
Damn it!
That's one of my favorite things, though, to argue with people, because there really is no refuting that. They're like, but the soul. I'm like, no, I don't care. CGI. I mean, sometimes there are times when the CGI department doesn't actually do things the way they're supposed to. That's been confirmed. Sometimes they'll forget to CGI dark spots on someone's heart. But this is a case of Cora is pure of heart, because all of her truly heinous acts were done without her heart and her body. So,
I don't drink anymore. Dang it. I need to think this over.
You gotta sit on this?
I gotta sit on that one. Dang, that's interesting. I like that.
It's cool. Not to say that she, like, with her heart and her body, when we see her in the underworld, like, not to say, like, she's still gonna be, like, She's not going to be like a paragon of moral virtue. She's going to be the same core she's always been. Just she's capable of loving Regina. And the first time they hug, you can see that love in that hug. The first time like they see each other again in the underworld, because it is like Cora smiling with like when she feels the love is that like well in this episode like there's a shift in the way that Barbara does that, and like that makes the "you would have been enough" that much more upsetting, in my opinion, because she's saying that with every feeling in her body.
There's only 6 more episodes in this season.
There are only 6 more episodes in the season, so this is the last we'll see of Barbara Hershey this season. We won't see her again until season 5.
Man, that's too long.
There is, but it is. But trust me, there is more Mills women trauma to be had in this season.
Can we?
I don't know if it makes you feel any better.
Trauma. So much trauma.
So much trauma, and I want to double check to see if the next one I'm thinking of was written by Jen Espenson as well.
Oh boy.
Let's find out real fast. Yes, it was. It was written by Jen Espenson.
Oh shit. Okay.
Give us Regina trauma, and I can show you the writer. I'm right about 98% of the time.
I feel like we're just gonna start making our own little list of the most traumatic Regina or Mills episodes, and how many. I'm sure all of them are by Jane.
Most of Espenson.
Espenson, thank you.
I most of the time they are, with the exception of season 1.
She also write the adoption of Henry.
I believe so. That one might have been Eddie and Adam.
Oh, fair.
Depending on no, actually, it was neither Jen Espenson nor Eddie and Adam.
Wow,
it was a different team. To be fair, that one's not traumatic.
No, but sad.
It's a beautiful episode.
Okay, it's what it induces
heartwarming.
tears. Let's go with that.
It's heartwarming.
There, that's the word. See, I have a brain.
There we go.
It's there. It works most of the time.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 5, Episode 3, Friends with Burger Fits, and Episode 4, Dawn of the Peck. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our book club, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.